chess is a timeless game, and some would call it a universal sport. One businessman appreciates it so much that he started a competition here at home. Action News reporter Alice Majuri introduces us to John Cordisco and his chess championship, visiting his corner of the Southern Tier.
I was around as a teenager when Bobby Fischer won the World Championship back in the early 70s, and I got hooked on playing it then. And once you're hooked, you're always hooked for the rest of your life.
Once you're reeled in, where do you play in Broome County? Cordisco invites all ages to his corner store.
That it isn't like any other sport where your physical or your age determines, who plays what. You can have an 8-year-old. In fact, my first annual, I had a 82-year-old play an 8-year-old, and the 8-year-old won.
And it could happen again. 8-year-old Daniel Wright is matched up against Cordisco. Dad says he learned from the best.
I play, but not at his level.
His older brothers.
To the point where he was beating them, they said, you need to go play in a tournament. So we're here today to try it out.
Win or lose, Daniel is happy to play, and Roger content to watch.
You watch a chess tournament, you don't see a lot of activity there, but mentally there's a lot of activity going on, and it's just really exciting to see him being able to compete at this level.
It teaches them a lot of things, how to plan, how to look at things, how actions have consequences. You make a bad decision and how it affects you. I teach them a little bit of patience, because usually kids are a little impatient, adults too.
The chess set, a teaching tool and a universal symbol.
Anywhere, any language, and show them a chess set and they know what it is.
In Binghamton, Alice Majuri, WBNG-TV, Action News.
Well, Cordisco invites you to come in and play for fun or for the experience. Play resumes tomorrow starting at 10 in the morning, but you should show up around 9:30.
Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Round 5 of the Bilbao Chess Masters Final 2014. This is between Ruslan Ponomariov from Ukraine, former FIDE world champion, and Vishy Anand from India, former world champions. So obviously these guys are good. 2 former world champions. Ponomariov is white, Anand is black. It's going to be a Queen's Gambit declined. Let's see how it goes. We'll go for the first few moves here. Castle, Bishop D2, pawn takes, Bishop takes, Bishop D6. Pretty standard stuff so far. Nothing that's really earth-shattering here. White castles, E5. Now, I was surprised that he broke so soon. Bishop D7 is the computer's choice in A6, and I kind of like that. So it must be Vishy is trying something out. Whether he's just testing stuff for his rematch for the World Championship in November, who knows. D5. Ruslan decides to close up the position and block off that light squared bishop. We'll see how that works out. Knight D7, going after the pawn. Queen gets right out of the danger there. You don't want to get in the fray of all those minor pieces all over. H6. I'm assuming he's trying to stop knight here, then knight come back. And that would be, and if knight took, that would be a good spot for that knight. H6, H3. Probably to stop the bishop from coming here. You really don't want to move that knight. He's in a good spot. Can't push the pawn because you've got 2 pieces attacking that square. A6, A3, a lot of pawn movement here. This is another move that wasn't one of the top 4 computer moves. Bishop D7 again. It was Bishop F5. Chasing the queen off. And he just blocks. Ponomariov just blocks off the bishop, forcing the bishop to move back to D7. So I'm not sure if that's what he wanted. I do have to say, though, that light squared bishop here has very little scope. Very little. Rook to E1, knight G6. Bishop F1, I like that move, to tell you the truth. Just gets the bishop out of the way. Besides to go knight to D1. It was about a third of a pawn advantage for white. Now it's about even. C6, trying to go after white center. And knight to E3, that was the whole point of moving him back to D1 and get him back into play. Computer's on off screen. It says white has a very active position, and the only thing I don't like is that light squared bishop's a little bit out right now. We'll see how that works out. But of course, there's going to be an exchange here one way or another. So we're going to have to see how that works, which would free up this bishop. Rook to C8, bishop C3. Good spot for that bishop. C takes, B takes. E takes would have led a rook to E8. That's a little bit better for black. B takes was correct. Knight takes, knight takes. Now black has the bishop pair, but I think white's doing okay. Gonna have to find out where to put this knight. Find a place for him. Bishop B6. Rook A D1. Get the rooks right there in the center of the board, facing off. F6. I'm assuming it's to reinforce the E5 pawn. Queen A4. Decides to get the queen out. And this is a move I was really surprised on. It's the third choice on the computer, but all the moves are so close in the score, they're all the same. And that's Rook F7. Preparing to bring the rook over and double up. Well done there by Anand. Bishop B4. Bishop takes, queen takes. Now you might see some action here. Now this knight is really a pain in black's behind. And this move surprised me. It's one of the computer's top two choices, and they're both close in score. Rook to D7, which I kind of like, or queen to F8, and he chose queen to F8. And of course, that's why these guys are great players. Queen to A4 was the computer move. Rook to D8. Knight comes back to E3. And now the knight comes knight to F4. That's a good spot for that knight. Now you can't push this pawn to chase the knight off, because you'll lose this pawn and the knight has an escape square to come back. So rook takes, queen takes, rook to D1. He's looking to trade again. And rook to D7. Rook takes, queen takes, bishop takes. Now you got a minor piece endgame here, and it looks like it's kind of petering out a little bit. Computer's got about a half-point advantage for black. Knight to E1. Got to find a place for that knight. Knight checks. King F1. Bishop B5. A4. Can't take the pawn, of course, because he loses the knight. But there's no good discovered check. Knight to G3, double check, doesn't really mean much. G1, knight checks, F1, knight checks, G1. And even the computer shows it at 0.00. And that's the draw. Not much of a game, I'm afraid. Vishy is pretty far ahead in this tournament. I think he's up by at least, I believe, if the other game's a draw from around a 5, Vishy automatically wins. They use the football scoring system, but even still without it, he's still ahead. So Vishy did very well, and he seems to be on a run. I think what's happening with Vishy is the burden now and the pressure of being world champion and defending your title has come off. And I think you're seeing the Vishy of old. As I said before, even for us amateur players, chess, a lot of chess, is mental. And I don't mean calculation skills, even though that's important. How you view things, how your attitude is, your emotions are a huge deal. And I think Vishy thinks he weighs 20 pounds lighter now he's not world champion. He had a couple of close calls in some matches. He's done very well for himself financially, so he's set. I think he wants to give Carlsen a run for his money. Now, whether he can beat Carlsen in a match, we'll have to see. But I think this match would be a lot different than the last match when Vishy lost the title. Anyway, folks, that's one of the games from round 5. I hope you enjoyed it. I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks.